let's just look at some of the treatment. And if I take you back to yesterday, I spent a bit of time, and it's highly likely that if you're listening in this hour, you weren't necessarily with me at the start of the show. Because if you're not with me at the start of the show, we always do a fairly quick roundup of various papers' front pages. And this was my assessment of one headline from one tabloid yesterday. The Daily Mirror, I'll be there for Kate. This is William cancelling all engagements. I don't know why that's a headline, in fairness, because that's not news. What would be news is Will says, I'm not going to see her. And now that is what you call a story. But the idea a husband cancels his business engagements to be by his wife's bedside in hospital. Sorry, love, I'll see you next Friday. I'm down the pub. I mean, to me, call me cynical. I don't call that extraordinary that a husband does that. Another headline from yesterday. Let's pray that they're both okay. Again, I wish them nothing but a speedy recovery, no complications. But it's not as if they're on life support. I've already mentioned I'll be there for Kate. Others that perhaps tell the story more. Double royal health shock. Royals rocked by Kate Opp. Well, they rocked. And today, The Sun, which is a big selling newspaper, air for you, as in there for you, and there's a picture of Prince William driving away after his visit yesterday, taking up the vast majority of the front page, as if it's extraordinary that a husband would visit his wife after she's had surgery, and you turn inside. Prince cancels all dates to be with Kate. Well, of course he does. What as I said before, Prince announces tour of Australia as Kate recovers. That would be a story. So what is behind the change? Let's turn to Adam Sherwin, who is arts and media correspondent at the I newspaper and a savvy media watcher. There's a change of strategy. Let's start with that, isn't there here, Adam? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Absolutely. Normally the information papers would get from the Buckingham Palace would be very minimal. Here they've got a situation where they've got two pre-planned but fairly short notice surgery cases going on with two senior royals. Now, one senior royal going into hospital would be a matter of interest. To have two at the same time is going to raise lots of questions. Where are they? Why are other members of the royal family going to hospitals, visiting? So the palace has had to kind of make a more public statement about these matters, and the media has really embraced it. The tabloids have taken this as a reason to give the palace a lot more positive publicity. People are looking about prostate enlargement cases on social media and searching. They're getting health advice through what's happened to the royals. So it started off as a triumph. But then people are also beginning to say, well, hang on a minute, what sort of treatment does Kate get? The London clinic, it's 5-star treatment people have been reading about, and they might end up comparing that to their own experiences in the NHS. So it may not all turn out to be a PR triumph.
What about the idea that it is front page news that a husband is going to visit his wife in hospital?
That in itself, of course, would not normally be for most people front page news, you can imagine. But if you had the Queen slipping into hospital or the heir to the throne slipping into hospital, someone's bound to call up a newspaper and say, hang on, this is a bit odd, what's going on here? So it's far better for the palace on this occasion to make us come clean, come forward and give the papers because these are serious cases, but they're not life-threatening, they're pre-planned. I think it would be quite a different matter if a senior royal was rushed into hospital with something like a stroke or something like that. I think then we'd probably go back to not wanting to raise concerns too much. But in this case, everyone can see the benefit of giving the public a little bit more information about what's going on.
A headline such as, let's pray that they're both okay. Again, I wish them nothing but a speedy recovery. It's not as if this is life-threatening surgery these people are having.
I think that's the case. I think that's the idea. Is it's raising awareness about some of these conditions. The princess is going to be in hospital for several days, so that's quite a long stint in hospital. So I think they needed to be clear with the public, and that people can sort of show their support through the newspapers. I think for those that are interested, obviously for those that are not, it's a complete turn off. I think after a couple of days of this, people will be saying, "Okay, let's get back to other matters now."
For someone like the King, who makes this public, he has been lauded for this. With the greatest of respect, I don't think previous monarchs would have behaved in this fashion. What do you think the impact will be as regards health issues here, Adam?
We just seem to have a huge spike of interest of people searching for information about prostate enlargement. And we know it's an issue that men really struggle to actually deal with early enough. And people are really now being encouraged and getting the message that they need to get tested. And so I think that has been a huge benefit to it. And so when this has all gone well, no doubt the King may well become a kind of spokesman for prostate issues. And that will actually be of a huge benefit to all the organisations that are desperate for men to look into these matters.
Lastly, as arts and media correspondent at the I newspaper, as a media watcher, do royals sell papers and magazines, or is it determined by which paper or which magazine it is?
Well, you probably won't sell many copies of The Guardian on royal stories, but surely for the tabloids, it certainly is. We've had the whole soap opera of Harry and Meghan, and we've had, obviously, the change over here with Charles becoming king. These are still huge stories. They're huge personalities. What people are also asking this week is who's on the subs bench now? We've got, Andrew and Harry aren't available to do the royal duties. Now we've got two...
It's not you, is it, Adam?
Well, I've not had...
I thought you were 15th in line.
Well, I've been trying to find it somewhere on Google Ancestry, but I'm still waiting to find that link, really, Nick.
Adam Sherwin, arts and media correspondent of the I paper. Thank you for that. So now to you. The headline the editors make the decision, of course. The men and women tell them, and then the headline writers try and write a headline that appeals to you. As one of my colleagues said, if you look at the events that are going on... Now, you can't put the latest events in Hamas-Israel conflict because that broke overnight. So we go back. You've still got the aftermath of the Horizon scandal. Hundreds, nearly 1,000 people wronged in that. And it would seem this extraordinary delay in looking after them. Again, that didn't get many front pages. You had the enormous issue of homelessness. Again, that didn't get many front pages. And there's so many aspects. You could even talk about the Israel-Hamas conflict where you find it now, and the state of the National Health Service, and whatever else you might want to say. Now, of course, two senior members of the royal family, indeed a king and another senior member of the royal family going into hospital. One of those is news, two of them is absolutely news. But the level and the direction of the reporting and the headlines, the idea, let's pray they're both okay, and I respect you if you are, is that what you have been doing? That you pray, of course we wish them well, of course we do. Let's pray that we're okay. I'll be heir, as in heir to the throne. I'll be heir for you. What of course you will. Otherwise, husband cancels work to see wife in hospital. But is that the sort of coverage you want? One of my colleagues just reminded me, of course, the story that dominated our conversation yesterday was Bronson Battersby, the 2-year-old boy who starved to death by his father, who would appear to have sustained a fatal heart attack and was left there for 14 days. Now, that to me, remember, news is anything that makes you say, gee whiz. Okay, I mean, I tidied that up a little bit. But news is anything that makes you say, gee whiz. That made me say, gee whiz. The fact that a man in his 70s, and I wish him nothing but good health, is going to hospital, is of course a story. Of course it is. Coming to your call, Ashley, a couple of emails. Nikki in Kent, for a lot of us, the fact the royals get taken straight into private health clinics for any health issue underlies the unfairness in this country. The rich and powerful get their health seen to straight away. The rest of us can sit or die on a long waiting list. Well, I don't think you'd want King Charles sitting in A&E, in all honesty, would you? It would be impossible, or indeed for that, the Princess of Wales. I think, Liz, this is showing the royal family aren't a mystery anymore. They are human, like me and you, and with special privileges. Well, I think that's possibly true. Ashley's in Beaconsfield. Ashley, your reaction to some of the headlines and some of the coverage. Man visits sick wife in hospital. Morning.
Morning, Nick. It's baffling. It really baffles me. Look, I understand we're, I suppose, fortunate to have a monarchy. They don't rule, but we're fortunate enough. But I don't think this is newsworthy, Nick. I think it's mind blowing that the coverage this gets of Prince William going to hospital to visit his wife.
Well, I'd be staggered if I'm going to bet you that it will be at least on a front page tomorrow and probably on Sunday, and will go on for days. And thankfully. She is recovering well. The King's surgery is relatively routine, painful as I'm sure it is. So this is just sitting at a hospital taking pictures of people who are getting better.
Exactly. And you touched on it just before I came on. The point that I wanted to make is, what's going on in Skegness is quite frankly just horrific, what happened to Bronson. And unfortunately, we seem to live in a world where we just revolve around what's happening with the royal family. I think, we're in the 21st century. I don't really think people give two footers, really, what's going on with your family. And, I wish them nothing but the best and a speedy recovery and return to health for both of them. But, Nick, there's far more pressing things going on in the world and in this country that I think are far more newsworthy than two people going to hospital. But obviously, if they were on a waiting list and they had to wait 2 years, then fantastic, write home about it. But
yes,
we're well aware that they haven't.
I think you and I are possibly on the same page, although I do say, I'm not saying it's not a story, it is a story, it's the prominence now. Of course, if you feel differently and you think this absolutely is front page news, particularly the line, let me get that one again. Sorry, I know I'm off my phone, no point showing it, but I can't get this new phone. Here we go. I'll be there for Kate. As I said at the time, a cracking headline is, I won't be there for mine. Now, that is an absolute belter.